Welcome. It's your man, God of Dots, back with another episode of the Audible. Looking forward to this week's games. I'm not going to hold you long, brother. It's looking forward to the weekend, brother. It's looking forward to next week, taking some time off, doing a little traveling with the family, but we'll be back. We might be doing a show tomorrow. I got some stuff I'm working on, but might be doing a show tomorrow over here. Just kind of stay tuned, play it by ear. I'm still looking for some source material for tomorrow's show for Freestyle Friday. If I do one, of course I'll be doing the show in the other space. Woohoo, yeah. And taking a little breaky break, little breaky break, just a little breaky break. But excuse me, how you doing, Dr. Nikki, Miss Murphy? How y'all doing? Let's see. I'm looking forward to getting this rest of this week over with, taking a little time off, do a little traveling, and come back refreshed. Come back refreshed next week. It's always good to take some time off, but I can't take some time, not tonight, because it's got a good game going on tonight. Kickoff's at 8:15. We're going to start with that, and then we're going to look forward to the rest of the week's games. Playoff is really heating up. Playoff races are really heating up in both conferences when we're talking about people jockeying for position and stuff like that. But without further ado, give you my analysis, breakdowns of all the games, and give you some of my picks. Like I said, it's a lot of good games. If you caught Tuesday's show, I kind of previewed a couple of the games. We'll focus a little bit more on those tonight. It is some games, it's always this point of the season. You have the real good games will match us with good teams. And you also have those trash games that have no business being on TV. But hey, I got to break it down. I got to give analysis, and I got to give my thoughts and opinions on it. But we're going to focus in on tonight. You got Saints. We're traveling on the road to the Rams. Rams firmly in the hunt for a wild card position out there in the NFC. And the Saints still on the outside looking in. As far as the division is concerned. But the Saints are also in a position in the wild card race if they don't win a division. But the division is probably the safest bet for any team coming out of the NFC South. That at least guarantees you a home game come playoff time. But the Saints are right there with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're right there with the Atlanta Falcons, jockeying for position. We only have 3 games left after this coming week. Only have 3 games left in the season. You can't afford to be losing games, but this is going to be a very tough game for the Saints. I know they played pretty well this past Sunday, but I've been kind of feeling how the Rams have kind of turned their season around, kind of off to a rough start. And that was to be expected when you consider the amount of young talent that they had on this team. But this team has really come together, gave the Ravens a fight a couple of weeks ago, took an overtime punt return to win the game. They almost beat the Ravens. Rams have a very, very, very good team. As a Cowboys fan, I'm glad we got them early in the season because this is a team that looks like they're poised to make the playoffs. Rams are right there in position, in my opinion, to be one of those last NFC wildcard teams. But this is a big game. We're talking about a short week. Typically on the short week, you guys know I like to pick the home team, and I'm going to kind of stick with that trend. I got to go, brother of a certain age. What's going on, good sir? I got to kind of stick with, that same philosophy, the same thought process. I like the Rams at home. I don't think the Saints offense travels that well. They play much better at home. The defense it's had a couple of rough patches, but the Saints do have a very good defense. But quietly, the Rams have a better defense as the season has kind of gone on. It was, like I said, it was a rough start for the Rams, but they've kind of turned their season around. Like I said, they're right there in the playoff hunt. Jockeying for position. So this is must-win football for both teams. I'm not going to say the playoffs is out of reach for either one of these teams if they lose, but I think the Rams, considering that they don't have a shot to win a division, they have to get in as a wild card team. I think they're going to come in with a little bit more hunger. The Saints kind of look at their division and say, hey, even if we lose, how the division has kind of been playing with the up and down play of the Buccaneers and the Falcons, we may have a chance to win. So for that reason, I got Rams tonight. I'm gonna try to make sure I'm out of here in enough time so I can catch some of that game, have it playing in the background while I'm doing some other stuff. But Yeah, I got Rams. I think it'll be a good game. Maybe not sexy. As far as TV ratings are concerned, these are not some of the sexiest teams. And when we're talking about in the leagues, not really any household, names that will sell tickets. But I think this is going to be a very good football game. But I got Rams. I got Rams winning a close one at home. I think it'll be highly competitive. I think the Saints defense will come to play. I'm just not sure about the Saints offense. I think Matthew Stafford makes just enough plays to kind of get the job done. So I got Rams. I got Rams. Now, when we look forward to the rest of the games coming up, you have two games on Saturday. Big playoff implications. Like I said, playoff implications coming down the stretch for a lot of these teams, whether it be AFC or NFC, is huge. And when we're talking about playoff implications, the Saturday game, the 4 o'clock game, you got Bengals and Steelers. Now the Bengals, I thought they were going to pack it up. They were kind of struggling, had got the season together a little bit. Joe Burrow goes down. I thought, man, this team is done. This team is toast, because especially when we're considering how tough the AFC has been as far as like the amount of teams that are over 500. I think last count, there are 11 teams over 500 in the AFC. I didn't think Cincinnati Bengals were going to be one of those teams, especially with Burrow going down. But Jake Browning has come in and performed very well in his 2 games since Joe Burrow went down. And the Steelers, it's talk. It's a lot of I don't know what to call it, what they got going on with Pittsburgh. I don't know what to call it. I know a report came out that Mike Tomlin was not satisfied with the effort put forth by George Pickens in the last game. I know, it was reports coming out a couple of weeks prior. You was hearing the same things about the other wide receiver, Deontay Johnson. I don't know. Is Mike Tomlin now? Is he losing touch with this team? We talked about this team coming into the season. This was one of the younger teams in the AFC. When you talk about, as far as like the skill position players, this was a team that, didn't perform well last season. Expectations for me, I was going to say for me, expectations for me were a lot higher. I thought the team would play much better than they have now. This team is still, firmly in the hunt for a playoff positioning. But when you could consider the rest of the teams in the AFC and how they're trending, how they're kind of finding their groove on both sides of the football, and the Steelers just don't look like it. Kenny Pickett, is no set return on him. Well, if he'll be available at some point towards the end of this season, I'm of the mindset no. I'm of the mindset I think let's go ahead and sit him out. Run with Trubisky, hoping you can sneak in, but I don't think you consider the Steelers a playoff team at this point, considering how poorly the offense is played throughout the course of the season. Like I said, they only had one game that was over 400 yards of offense. My expectations, like I said, my expectations were high. I thought this team was you had 2 good young receivers on the outside. You have a very decent tight end. You have a very good running back core. Offensive line had made some improvements. I thought Kenny Pickett would have a much better year, coming off his rookie year, but it just is not manifesting. And Cincinnati is playing like a team that is on a mission, to say, hey, we're more than Joe Burrow. Jake Browning has done well, and give credit to the head coach, Zach Taylor, out there in Cincinnati for scheming up and putting the backup quarterback in positions to win. We talk a lot about coaching and flows and schemes and play calling. We talk a lot about that over here on this show. But, give credit to the head coach over there in Cincinnati for putting Jake Browning in position to not only, be successful, but take advantage of his talents, understanding what his limitations are, understanding what his gifts and skills are, and catering the playbook to him. I hope you're watching, Chicago Bears fans. That's how a good head coach, a good coaching staff make adjustments and fit the playbook to fit the player. I'm just saying, Chicago. Just saying, Chicago. Just saying. But I got Cincinnati. Even though they're on the road. AFC North is typically one of the toughest, divisions when we're talking about. You can kind of throw the record out the window when these teams play. Always play hard. I think it'll be a hard hit game. I think Cincinnati just has too much momentum coming to this game, and I'm not trusting. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not trusting Pittsburgh at this point in the season, based off what I've seen. Enough is enough. I've got a large enough sample size to know that this is not a playoff team. Maybe next year, maybe I'm a year ahead on them, much like I was with the Detroit Lions last season. Maybe I'm a year ahead on them, but I just don't see it this year. I don't see it this year. And, speaking of Tomlin, I know some people are saying, maybe he's on his way out. Let's pump your brakes. He's got a young team. Nobody was expecting the Pittsburgh Steelers to play at the level. A lot of people wasn't expecting him to play at the level they're playing. I mean, this man is known for having winning seasons. So kind of pump your brakes. Get some more pieces in there. Get some offensive minded people in there that know how to take advantage of the talents. You might have something there in Pittsburgh. Like I said, I may be a year early on them. I was high on them. It was my dark horse. Maybe I'm a year early because this ain't been it. Speaking of this ain't being it, the Chargers got a stroll back out there, have a home game after getting smoked by the Raiders in their last game, allowing the Raiders to put up 63 points, playing a very hot Bills team. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this one. I've seen the Buffalo Bills up close and personal. They are playing winning football. They've kind of found a formula that kind of works, kind of lean heavy on the run game, lean heavy on the play action. Hint, Philadelphia. Lean heavy on that. Allow, the quarterback to make plays when he needs to make plays and play good, solid football. Don't turn the ball over too much. Play good, sound defense. But this is a game. The Chargers are a team that's looking to fast forward towards the end of the season. Bills still with an outside chance to possibly win a division, and we'll talk about the team that's leading that division a little bit later in the show. Bills clear on the road. Bills clear on the road. I wouldn't be surprised if they put up a 30-piece on this Chargers team. Chargers team is checked out. They've been checked out. They got rid of the head coach this past week. I'm not sure how much of a difference that makes coming down the stretch as far as like how hard these guys are going to really be trying to play. I don't know, but I'm not picking an upset in this one. I got Bills clear in this one. And like I said, top of the show, there's some games on the schedule that are kind of throwaway. And one of those throwaway type games is Commanders and Jets. Sorry, New York fans. Sorry, Washington fans. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this one. I got Washington winning just for the simple fact the Jets can't score to save their life. The Jets can't score to save their life. So I got Commanders. I got Commanders in this one. I'm not watching it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I watched the highlights, but I'm not gonna sit in front of my TV and watch 4 quarters of this kind of football. No, not when there's other games on that are way more intriguing. Speaking of way more games being intriguing, you have the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. Detroit in a position right now, running away with the NFC North, still with an outside chance of some factors kind of break their way with teams losing ahead of them, could snatch the number 1 seed in the NFC. I'm curious to see was last week's game an aberration for the Detroit Lions, or will they kind of continue the kind of bumpy up and down play they've had over the last month. I'm very curious to see, because you have a Minnesota Vikings team that is coming in still in the playoff race out there in the NFC. They are at home. They kind of want to stick it to Detroit. Show Detroit that, hey, you're not the cream de la creme of the division. But I got Detroit. I ain't gonna lie to you. I got Detroit. I think Detroit scores just enough points to beat the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings very underrated. I know a lot of people haven't watched them. I think the only primetime game I saw them was against the 49ers early in the season, and they beat the 49ers. But I'm not picking the Vikings, even though they're at home, to beat the Detroit Lions. I think Detroit kind of continues to solid play, cut down on the turnovers, get some pressure on the quarterback, get to playing how you were early in the season, and Detroit will be just fine. But I got Detroit over Minnesota in this one. Another big game in the 1 o'clock slot, and reason why I'm not watching the Commanders and the Jets. Sorry, y'all. You got Browns and Texans, 2 teams that are squarely in the hunt now in the jumbled AFC playoff picture. Like I said, both teams are over 500. Now, interesting tidbit coming out of this game. It's been reported early in the week. I have to check close we get to game day. CJ Stroud will be out yet another game. And that means Case Keenum is your starting quarterback. I don't like The odds, I don't think the Texans will be able to run as effectively as they have been the last couple games. I don't think they'll be able to do that against Cleveland. And Joe Flacco is on a tear. His last couple games playing pretty much how he was when he was playing with the Ravens. I don't know what he was doing on his couch. I don't know why. The Jets did try to bring this guy in early in the season, but he's been playing lights out over the last couple of weeks. Cleveland is on the road, but I'm gonna take Cleveland. Normally this time you kind of go with the home team, but I just don't trust Case Keenum against that Cleveland Browns defense that is known to take away the football. This might be a game. Myles Garrett, cements his name firmly in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. And for that reason, I got Browns. I got Browns over the Texans. It sucks to see how the Texas season has gone. No CJ Stroud, in my opinion, is still leading the race for Offensive Rookie of the Year. But it's a shame he's out. Suffered seems to be like a lingering concussion of some sorts. But hopefully for a speedy recovery, and they're going to need them. Texans, like I said, in a jumbled AFC playoff picture, they don't really have too many games left to lose ground. The Jaguars keep staying behind, keep them close. Then you got the Colts, who we'll talk about a little bit later. Colts are also in a position to possibly leapfrog Jacksonville and take the division if a couple things break their way. So this is a must-win game for the Texans, but I just don't see it against Cleveland. I got Cleveland clearly in this one. Yeah, another one of those games I'm not going to really spend too much time on. Packers, Panthers. Packers still with an outside chance to make the playoffs. If a lot of teams got to, go on losing streaks towards the end of the season. But I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this. Carolina did come off the big win against the Falcons. It was an ugly game. It wasn't, nothing to really be encouraged by. They are at home. I got Packers. I'm like I said, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that. Packers. Also, over at 1 o'clock, you have Colts and Falcons. I talked about the Colts. Still with a chance to not only get into the playoffs, but also with a chance to still win the division if Jacksonville continues to do what they do as they've done all season, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and continue to kind of choke down the stretch. But the Falcons have something to play for. This is not a foregone win for the Colts coming in here. Atlanta still fighting for the NFC South division lead. Falcons do have a very, very, very good team. When you kind of look at the team, very good defense, capable of running the ball. The question and the only thing, bro, I think has really been holding this team back is Desmond Ridder. And like I reported on Tuesday, the Falcons are, benching Desmond Ridder and going with Taylor Heinicke. Excuse me for a second. All right, I'm back. They're benching Desmond Ridder and going with Tyler Heinicke. This is a kind of tough game to pick. Atlanta is at home, but you are playing a Colts team that is just kind of up and down the goddamn selves. Can have one good game and have one game you're like, what the hell? But I got a good feeling with Taylor Heinicke leading the way for Atlanta. Coming down the stretch. I got Falcons. I got Falcons. I like what I've seen from that defense. The defense is young. They're flying to the football. I want to say top 10 defense in the league. So a lot of people just not talking about them because Atlanta is not they don't play a sexy brand of football. So for that reason, I'm leaning Falcons. They're at home, coming off a very tough road game. Road loss, to Carolina. Falcons still have something to play for. I think they come in with a little bit more motivation. I think that defense is able to kind of get after Gardner Minshew, forcing them to some mistakes. And I'm gonna go Falcons. In this one. But I think it'll be a very, very, very good game because I've been impressed by both teams when I've had a chance to sit down and watch them. But like I said, I think the Falcons with Taylor Heineke at quarterback. I've been picking against Desmond Ritter all season, and that was for good reason. Taylor Heineke does just enough. You can make plays on this Colts defense. So I got Falcons. The Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde bowl game of the week. You have the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road, if you can consider that being on the road, going against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay currently holding the lead in the NFC South. But, a game here, a tiebreaker there, and we're having a different discussion about them being the division leader. But they're still, regardless, still in the hunt for a playoff spot. In the NFC, have looked okay the last couple of weeks. Jacksonville ain't been the same since Trevor Lawrence, was injured. Even though he's played through the injuries, this team does not look the same, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Jacksonville, I think this is a game where you got to lean real heavy on the run game. Not to say the Baker Mayfield has been lighting it up, but Mike Evans has been having a fantastic year, and Chris Godwin has been a very good number 2 receiver. If you allow Baker Mayfield to get comfortable back there, and you're not able to apply no pressure, like I said, I'm not a big Baker Mayfield fan, but you're not able to get pressure. These guys they get paid to throw the ball for a reason. And Mayfield showed last week playing against the Green Bay Packers that he's able to put up points with the talent they have out there. I expect Tampa Bay to come out, lean heavy on the run game, start kind of open up the passing game, but I mean, Jacksonville is known to make me look like a fool when I pick against them sometimes. And I said sometimes because sometimes I'll be right about their ass. But I got Tampa Bay. I got Tampa Bay. I think that veteran experience, Tampa Bay is one of the older teams in the league. I think that veteran experience, I think Mike Evans continues to do his thing on the offensive side of the ball. And they're at home and still have a lot to play for. Jacksonville, I don't know if they believe they have a bigger cushion than they do. I want to say they only up a game on the Colts in that division. And Jacksonville, I got to go Bucks. Just because they're in my opinion, the healthier team based on last sample size. Jaguars got beat by the Ravens. Bucks, went up to Green Bay and did their thing. So I got Bucks. I got Bucks in this one. Moving to the 4:00 slate. It's only 3 games on the 4:00 slate for Sunday. You have Patriots, Broncos. I got Broncos, especially because Broncos at home. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this game. Another game I'm not going to spend too much time talking about. You got Cardinals and Bears. I mean, I've been a Justin Fields, supporter, not necessarily a supporter of the Bears, but I got Cardinals. I'm not going to spend too much time. Just like the way the Cardinals have been playing, and Justin Fields is, he's due for a bad game. It's just in the cards for him. But the highlight of the Sunday afternoon games: Cowboys and Dolphins. Dolphins are at home. Cowboys coming off the beatdown that they suffered against the Buffalo Bills up there in Buffalo. Cowboys still with a chance to not only win a division, but if San Francisco kind of drops the ball, and San Francisco has a very tough game that we'll talk about in just a minute, could be trying to get that number 1 seed. Could be trying to get that number 1 seed, but the same can be said for the Miami Dolphins, who still have an outside chance to win the AFC number 1 seed and have the playoffs coming through Miami. Miami knows that they can't afford to lose any ground. Buffalo is firmly on their heels. Buffalo still has a game against Miami, so a Buffalo win this week, a Miami loss this week, just makes that next game even more exciting. And I'm gonna predict, I'm gonna pick the boy. I'm gonna say I got Dallas winning this one. I think it'll be a very good game. I think it'll be a very, 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 very good game. I expect Dak to bounce back. I expect the Cowboys as a team to kind of bounce back. And Miami is a tough matchup. It's a very tough matchup. I'm not going to slight the Miami Dolphins. I'm not going to call them pretenders or frauds. The defense has played fairly well, and the offense is what the offense is now. I think Tyreek Hill is scheduled to be back for this game. How healthy he is, I'm not sure. If Tyreek is at 100%, that is a problem for not only for our defense but for any defense in the league. But I think we have a little motivation after being smacked around by the Buffalo Bills. Typically, when the Cowboys lose a game like that, they come out, play a lot better. I.e., look back the last time they got beat down like that, and that was against the San Francisco 49ers early this season, and Cowboys went on a win streak after that. So, um, for this, you guys know I'm gonna pick the Cowboys. You know I'm picking the boys. You know I'm picking the boys. But I think this will be a very good game, and I would say this, and I'll put this out on the record. It's not to not to hedge my bet, because I'm going boys all the way. But if Miami comes out there and puts up 30 plus, trust me, it wouldn't be the first time this season is happened. I think Miami, if we're not able to get pressure, and we allow Miami to get up and down the field, this is a different kind of offense than we played against Buffalo. This is not a team that likes to drain the clock. This is the team that likes to play fast. If we allow Miami to get comfortable and get going up and down the field, like we know they can, it could be a long day again for the Cowboys. Could be a long day again for the Cowboys. I'm curious to see what that first quarter is going to look like, as far as like which team is going to set the tempo for the rest of this game. I had a feeling against Buffalo after that first quarter, like Buffalo had this, they've set the tempo, they've dominated, the flow of the game, and it turned out to be a blowout. I think this game will be a lot more competitive. I think this game will be a lot more competitive than it was last week. But, I'm picking boys. I know I'm picking boys. I'm not going anywhere else. Monday night game, I'm surprised they got 3 games. They got 3 games on Monday night. Hold on, I don't skip ahead in the schedule. Okay, yeah, got 3 games on Monday. You have one at 1, one at 4:30, one at 8:15. We'll talk about the one at 1. You got the Raiders coming off the big 63-point performance, playing against a Chiefs team on the road. Chiefs are, kind of like a wounded animal. Yes, they beat the New England Patriots, but it was a much closer game. If you watch it, it was a much closer game than it should have been, and I'm concerned about the Chiefs. Maybe this team is not as good as it was last season. It seems like guys are making mental mistakes that it wasn't making last year. Guys are making errors that it wasn't making last year. I don't know if it's lack of concentration. I don't know what the issue is, but Kansas City from the opening kickoff of this season, when they lost against the Detroit Lions, have not looked like the team that they were last season. Now, with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, it's that is a team that can get hot and run roughshod over the rest of the league. But I don't see it. But just for this week, I got Chiefs at home. I think they do just enough against the Raiders team to secure the win. But I'm not encouraged by the Chiefs. I think this game will be a lot closer than some people may think. Thinking the Raiders are out of it, but I think Kansas City does just enough. Now to the 4:30 game, Giants at Eagles. Eagles on a 3-game losing streak. Giants getting manhandled in their last performance against the New Orleans Saints. Giants, this is the first of 2 coming down the stretch. Eagles still with a chance if they win out to win a division. They're hoping for a 49ers loss also, because that gives them an outside chance to reclaim the number 1 seed in the NFC. Have I picked the upset this week? I got Giants over the Eagles, and the Eagles are at home. I got Giants, and here's why I got Giants. I don't think they're going to be able to get after DeVito like New Orleans did. I don't think they're going to be able to do it with just a 4-down lineman, much like New Orleans was doing against the Giants this past Sunday. I also believe that if Brian Daboll, I'm not sure how to say his name, Giants fans, excuse me, but if he leans heavy into the run game, we have seen throughout the course of this season that Philadelphia run defense is not what it was last year. You should be able to move the ball. And if Saquon Barkley has a good game, and when I mean by good game, I'm talking about 100 rushing, maybe about 30 to 50 receiving. If Saquon Barkley makes this a signature game, I got the Giants beating the Eagles. I've been out on the Eagles from the word go. I just been seeing it. Yes, they have been winning. They have a 10-4 record, but that has been a mirage, and I have been saying it for the entire season. Something seems to be off, especially when we're talking about the connection between the quarterback and the offensive coordinator. And it seems like that connection is trickling down. I'm not sure how many of y'all caught AJ Brown's tirade this week on the X, or formerly known as Twitter. But these guys are frustrated, and you can stop all that old cliche. We just want to win, and yada. Now you guys have been looking off the entire season. You'll have moments where you'll look, like the Eagles of last year, but this is not the same team. This is not the same. The secondary has taken a step back. I thought the combination of Slate and Bradbury will play much better than they have this season. Bradbury got picked on in that game when it drive by the Seahawks, and he's been getting exposed all season. This is not the same Eagles team. Eagles, I'm going out on a limb. This is my upset pick. My upset pick of the week. I got Giants over the Eagles in the Eagles' house. And the Eagles go down 4 straight. I've been the Eagles, and until they can show me otherwise, it is clicking in, and based on the body language, the attitude, and the performances I've seen out of them offensively, they ain't been able to kind of get right. They just don't look right. They're firmly in the playoffs. I mean, that's a given. But nothing. I don't think any Eagles fan can say you're confident that this team is running it back to the Super Bowl. No. Now we consider how well some of the other teams have played in the NFC consistently better. Nah, I got Giants. I got Giants in this one. I know, brother of a certain age. Yeah, your mind's blown. I got Giants. I think the Giants make just enough plays, and I don't think Philly. I've been trying to give them the formula to success. You got to be able to win in this league. You got to be able to run the football. And when Philly was looking okay at the beginning of the season, DeAndre Swift was getting that Brock. He was at one point early in the season, he was leading the league in rushing. Can somebody find me DeAndre Swift? This dude has been on the milk carton for the last 7 to 8 games. This team has not looked right the entire season, and I like what I've been seeing. Granted, the Saints put that beat down on New York. It happens. I don't think people realize how much talent the Saints do have on the defensive side of the ball. They're just not household names unless you're a football nut like myself. But I like the Giants. And even with the loss against the Saints, the defense didn't play horrible. I mean, it didn't play horrible, but when you can't sustain drives, eventually you break. You can only bend so much before you break. But I got Eagles losing at home. And we kind of wrap it up. Then you had the big game of the week: Ravens and 49ers, battle of the best, the 2 top seeds in their respective conferences playing. Ravens come in the underdog against the 49ers. A lot of chirping coming out of Baltimore about they feel disrespected. Look, I get it, but I don't think anybody in their right mind would favor, just a neutral fan would favor what they've seen from the Ravens over what they've seen from the 49ers. They've seen the 49ers when they win is dominant. When the offense is clicking, that defense is clicking, it is dominant. Can anybody point me, and I have nothing against the Ravens, but can anybody point to me a signature type win like the 49ers had against the Eagles, like the 49ers had against the Cowboys? Can anybody point to me a signature win, like big time win, where they just went out there and mollywopped a very good team, one of the top teams in the conferences? Can anybody point to me to that signature game that the Ravens have had on their schedule where, like, ooh, man, Ravens look like they're head and shoulders above the rest of not just the AFC but the NFL. Like I get you guys are upset you underdogs Monday Night Football Christmas game. I'm not picking against the 49ers right now. They're just so locked in, so clicked in. The play calling, the synergy between the quarterback and the play calling. I mean, this offense is clicking right now at a whole nother level. Christian McCaffrey, CMC is getting real serious consideration for MVP votes. And I'd be hard pressed to say, find me a running back better than CMC right now. That is doing it all, running the ball, catching the ball. He's very good at pass blocking on a lot of those routes. And that is, I mean, it's hard for me to pick against the 49ers based off what I've seen. Not just because they smoked the Cowboys, but when the 49ers are right, they are dominant. They are dominant. Now, I think this will be a very good game. I think it'll be a lot closer than a lot of people will think. And I think it'll be a lot much lower scoring game because the Ravens have a hell of a defense of their own. They're not afraid to sit in the house. They have the personnel to do that. They have the coverage on the back end to play a lot of man-to-man cover zero. And get after Brock Purdy. And we've seen when you're able to get after Brock Purdy, i.e. the Cleveland Browns, when they beat them, the Minnesota Vikings, when they beat them, when you're able to get after Brock Purdy, make him uncomfortable, make him move off his square, he goes from, being very good to being very, very, very average. I don't think Christian McCaffrey is going to have a big game as far as like the yards are concerned, but I do think Christian McCaffrey is going to be a huge factor in deciding this game. I think this is going to come down to Christian McCaffrey against Lamar Jackson. I know you're thinking like quarterback versus running back, but I think if Lamar is able to get out, make some plays with his feet, put a lot of stress on this 49ers defense, Ravens might be able to pull this off, but I'm not picking against the 49ers. Just not. I can't do it. I can't do it. So I got 49ers winning this one. Let me get my behind up out of here because I said I was going to try to keep this to 30 minutes. Like I said, housekeeping. May or may not be doing the show over here tomorrow. It's gonna kind of wait and see. Working on some. I got a lot of shows. I'm kind of working on right now. A lot of material I'm trying to put together for a lot of different stuff in different spaces. But maybe doing the show over here, maybe not. You'll know if you see the notification. If you just like, if you're subbed. And we'll be back over here. If we're not back tomorrow, we'll be back over here Thursday. I will be off on Tuesday from over here. It is like I said, I'll be out with the family, enjoying the Christmas holiday, traveling and stuff like that. So hope you guys have a safe holiday weekend. Hope you have a very good Christmas. Spend time with your loved ones, decompress and get ready for the new year. And I'm excited for the football games that are coming up. I mean, I'm looking forward to this week's game. I'm like, next week's games, you got Lions and Cowboys. I'm like, Dolphins and Ravens. It's a good time to be a football fan. But let me get my behind up out of here, man. I appreciate everybody for taking the time out to listen to little old me. Y'all know the phrase that pays. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but every time you learn. And I'm out.